Welcome everyone to the Excel and Power BI Clinic. I'm David Brown, your host for the clinic, and I'm so glad to be hosting this clinic this month, February of 2017, because there's quite a lot of announcements to be made and a lot of resources that we're proud to announce from Microsoft that will really help us upskill our kind of increase our skills or improve our skills in Power BI and Excel. So I'm David, and I'll be taking you for the webinar. And I've been using Excel for about 22 years, and Power BI since they started as a beta in Excel. Power BI basically started with Power Pivot and Power Query in Excel 2010. So I've been using it since then. I'm also an ATD Master Trainer and Master Instructional Designer, so I do quite a lot of trainings, and I've trained quite a lot of people on Excel and as well as Power BI. I'm also a Microsoft partner, and I run dbrown consulting, and we started dbrown consulting about 10 years ago, and we concentrate on BI, financial modeling, and training solutions, as well as providing payroll outsourcing solutions to clients. So that's me. This is just a word cloud of questions that you've asked. In fact, this is going to be one of the case studies we'll discuss today. How do you get a word cloud? So how do you use Power BI, for example, when you're trying to analyze text? A word cloud is a very good example of how you do that. So we'll talk today about support sites online, that you can have various support sites online, and of course, as I said, Microsoft have a new community that they've created for us in Nigeria, and I'll discuss how you can register to that community and ask all your Power BI and Excel questions and get free answers and lots of links to meetups and free meetups, and one of this is a meetup here, which is this webinar. And then what's new in Power BI? We discussed that we'll focus on a custom visual for Power BI. Then we talk about some of your Excel questions that you've sent in, and we give you tips of the month, and we do Q&A in general. So that's how we'll run the course. So these are the recommended resources I would like to talk about. Microsoft's Power BI user group for Nigeria has been set up. I'll just go straight to that. So there's a Microsoft Power BI user group, and I'll advise everyone to join the user group because it's going to be where we'll be able to answer all your questions on Power BI, as in not just this webinar, but any question you have, you just log on and go and ask your questions. So the name of the Nigeria user group from Microsoft is Nigeria Modern Excel and Power BI user group. So Nigeria Modern Excel and Power BI user group, and you can log in anytime, hopefully now, and then as you can see on the screen, even our webinar, this webinar was advertised on that user group. So you get lots and lots of webinars worldwide, resources worldwide, and then focus on Nigeria. You'll be able to register and ask any questions on the forum. So I'll be on the forum too. I'm a forum leader, so I'll also be always on the forum and answering questions on Power BI as well as Excel, what I call modern Excel. Right. So that's www.pbi, as Power BI, usergroup.com/Lagos. So that's for us in Nigeria. Another resource for you is your Nigeria Modern Excel and Power BI user group in meetup groups. There's a website, meetup.com, and meetup.com just manages all the meetups. So we're going to have live meetups every quarter. You get the dates when you register there, and then of course all these webinar meetups will be there as well. We have this is not updated, but we have about 500 members already now, and it's growing. So you could join that community, and we can exchange ideas and have meetups on Power BI, Excel, and how we can make our work easier, make our lives easier. So that's also a resource for you. Also, we're on YouTube, so another resource for you will be on YouTube, and you can see this video and many other videos as well on YouTube. And so just join our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type dbrown consulting and just join the channel, and you can watch past webinars, and of course this webinar will be posted on later, and also various videos, tips and tricks and stuff. One of the popular tips and tricks is how do you get the Naira sign, the proper Naira sign into your documents in Excel. You can go see stuff like that there. Okay, so that's enough about me and everything we have, all the resources we have. I would like to know more about you guys. And so what I would like to do is just put up a poll, just a quick poll, and Once a poll comes up, we'll discuss. So I'd like to ask you, a poll is coming up now, asking what is your current business intelligence tool? What business intelligence tool do you currently use? So if you just click, you could click multiple. What business intelligence tool do you currently use in your business? Okay, I can see quite a few of us use Excel. I'm sure nearly everybody uses Excel. Excel, maybe we don't consider it a business intelligence tool. We just think, okay, it's Excel. But Excel, technically, I mean, all our reports and stuff are done in Excel, so it's a business intelligence tool. And I can see some of us, about 30% of us are using Power BI already. That's excellent. Power Pivot and Power Query. Nobody's using Click. 8% are using Tableau. Excellent. Tableau is an excellent BI tool. And yeah, and Tableau, I've used Tableau for a while until Power BI came on board, and I started using Power BI exclusively. So, all right, so our statistic at the end of the day is 50% use Excel, 7% use other tools, 7% Tableau, and about 36% use Microsoft Power BI tools. Okay, excellent. All right, so Power BI, I'll go through Power BI in general just to give you an idea of what it is. So what is Power BI? So Power BI is a suite of business analytic tools to analyze data and share insights. So again, it monitors your business and gets answers quickly with rich dashboards available on every device. So Power BI is just a suite of analytic tools. Now, most of us use Excel, and one big frustration for us when we use Excel is we can't share that data effectively. When we build this beautiful report and stuff and we want to share it, the best thing we do is email. So we email the report, and once we email the report, what happens is the person now has another version of that Excel report. So if you did an update, the person doesn't see that update. So you need to email the report again. So the sharing bit or the consumption bit for Excel was pretty poor. But of course, the cloud came in, and now even Excel, you can publish Excel to powerbi.com. So if you have a subscription to powerbi.com, you can just create your wonderful reports in Excel and then publish it online. So once you publish it online, everybody can see it, and as you update, it updates online. So that way, it's very, very, I mean, you can share data or reports far more effectively than before. Because email really is not that good. It's too static. So, but when it comes to visualization, I think Power BI is more superior because Power BI has lots of visualization options. Excel is pretty good, and if you're very good in manipulating charts, you can create all sorts of wonderful stuff, but it takes some effort for you to create really, really good stuff in Excel. But in Power BI, as in Power BI Desktop is the local client for Power BI. So on the screen, what you're looking at, it can build directly on Power BI Desktop. Although this is the one you see online, but when you want to build the tool or build a report, it's best you build it on Power BI Desktop, then publish it online. So, and Power BI Desktop is free. You can go to powerbi.com and download Power BI Desktop. It's absolutely free. So Power BI transforms your company's data into rich visuals for you to collect and organize, so you can focus on what really matters, what matters most. So once your reports and dashboards are updated, once your data is updated, your reports and dashboards update, and then you can think out of the box on what other things you think affects your business. I'm thinking, okay, the one I like to talk about is weather. You can have the luxury of sitting back and saying, I wonder whether we sell more when it rains or when the temperature is between 20 degrees and 25 degrees. Do we sell more? Now you can think out of the box like that because you're not wasting time copying and pasting your data every time. You know, you copy paste, which is the typical thing we do as analysts, and all that is automated now. You've automated it, it's on the cloud. As data updates, your reports update. So you can think out of the box for stuff like, okay, how well do we do when it rains? And to answer that question with Power BI is so simple because all you need to do is download weather data or plug to a weather data resource or weather data provider, and you have columns of dates and whether it rained or not, what's the temperature range, humidity, blah, 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 and just plug that into your data model. Once you plug that into your data model, now you can do reporting by weather and say, okay, how well did we do all the times it rained last year compared to all the times that it was very hot. So those kind of insights, you can easily do that with Power BI, which is wonderful. So for the 30% that use Power BI, I would like to hear from anyone here. If you'd like to share how you use Power BI, could you just put your hands up, and then I'll release your mic, and then everyone will be able to hear you. So who would like to volunteer to talk about how they use Power BI currently? So there's a hand tool on your on this application. So once you click on the hand tool, you just putting your hands up, and then I'll be able to release your mic. Also, if you have a question, there's a question section there. So the question section, by the way, everyone has been muted, so that there's no distortion. But there's a question section. If you have any questions, just type a question in there. There's also a chat section there where we can chat. So anyone volunteering? No one volunteering? Okay, so if you do volunteer, just put your hands up and you can type in a question, and then I'll release your mic, and then we can hear from you, because it would be nice to hear. Okay, someone's volunteered. So Olayinka has volunteered. Hi, Olayinka.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. How are you doing?
Okay, fine. I came for the Power BI training with my
super.
friend like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks, so to speak.
Yes.
Currently, we have like 10 ad hoc staff working with us, and what we do now is with Power BI, we monitor what they do at the speed of time. So they're actually doing like a cleanup for our data. So
yes.
what they work on, the files they work on, we connected Power BI to the database. So what they work on, we can monitor it per time, so to speak. Like can say that we can see one of them doing 3 in 2 minutes. So we can ask her, what are you doing? We can see you from here. We know what you are doing. So we have a dashboard that we link those. We connected the database to the Power BI, so we could see just as we're sitting down on our dashboard the progress of the activities of what they're doing. So that's what we are using it for currently. We use it for other things, but that's what we are using it currently, and it's a perfect tool for us for reporting and showing at a glance and in speed of light what those guys are doing currently. Yeah.
Cool. So what were you using before Power BI?
Nothing, so to speak. It's just manual thing, checking them manually But now, with the advent of Power BI and the knowledge that we have of Power BI, it's good for us just to see that report on the dashboard, connecting it even via gateway on our phones as we are going. You know what those guys are doing. You know that we've given them a target of churning out a report of 150 per day. So if they are slowing down, you can see it just as you are sitting down on your desk. So you don't need to go downstairs to go and look at what they are doing. You know from there. Even for approvals, you see who is approving what at that particular point in time. So I think it's a wonderful tool, and
it is. And did you guys built the dashboard yourself, right? So you built the dashboard and everything.
We built the dashboard ourselves, and like I said, we came for that training, and we've been using it for the past. It has solved a lot of problems and a lot of manual things that you do. What you can take 2 weeks to do can take you just 1 hour, and you can even build a model. You can build a model that you just be fetching the data and then updating your reports. And it's a wonderful tool, so to speak.
Nice. So, and you're learning DAX. So everybody, when you're using Power BI, there's a language behind it, and that is DAX, D-A-X, Data Analysis Expressions. And when you're getting the data, because you mentioned something, Olayinka, that you're cleaning data, you're still cleaning your data, isn't it? And still kind of updating your data. So data needs to follow certain rules, and I'm sure in the training we told you about the rules that it needs to follow, the 7 golden rules.
There are 10 rules that data has to follow. 10 rules.
Okay. Okay. So those rules, once you clean your data, then you'll be able to enjoy it so much more. Once your data is clean and you plug into a data source and you just dump your data into that data source, and everything updates automatically.
Or refresh automatically.
Yes. And the tool, thanks a lot. So thanks a lot for that. Let me let's move on. Let's do a quick demo. We'll just do a quick demo. So Power BI is transformational, really, and two powerful tools, really. There's Power Pivot and there's Power Query. Now, the Power Pivot is where you build your data model, and then Power Query is what brings in the data. IT guys call it an ETL, extract, transform, and load tool. So once you have these two, Power Pivot and Power Query, and then you learn the language of Power BI, which is DAX, Data Analysis Expressions, you'll be able to build all sorts of stuff and be able to solve this big problem we have in Excel, which is where 80% of our time is spent cleaning data, connecting to data, copying, pasting, doing VLOOKUPs, distributing different reports, need different data from different places, and then at the end of the day, we still email those reports. So we email those reports or copy and paste into PowerPoint. That's a repeat action that we do every single week, every single month, and it's quite inefficient. So the more modern way to work is exactly what Olayinka said, which is you build your reports, you put them on the cloud. In fact, you can see them on the phone. Even if you're having a meeting, you project that Power BI dashboard on. You just project that Power BI dashboard. You click various categories, and your dashboard updates. You really don't need to put it on PowerPoint, really. So it eliminates all that process, and everybody can actually see various reports on the fly. Now, so that 80% of time spent doing that should just cut out. You don't need to spend that time. The key thing you should be spending your time on is what we only spend 20% of our time on, unfortunately, which is the actual exploration and visualization of our data. So we explore and visualize the data, and that way we'll be able to get very interesting insights into what our data is trying to tell us. So you should spend 80% of your time doing that, not 20% of your time. And with Power BI and also all the tools and rules on how to use it efficiently, we'll be able to do that, and that will increase our efficiency. All right, so I'll go into a quick Power BI demo. So I would like to first of all talk about a custom visual. So I'll open the Power BI application, and then I'll also talk about some custom visuals. So this is just the Power BI desktop application. So this Power BI desktop. So if I go to Power BI desktop, you have the tabs. You have home, view, modeling, format, data drills. So your home, it's almost like everyone knows Excel home, which you have the most common things you need to use for this Power BI application. So I have a word cloud here, and this is just like, think about an Excel file with lots of words in it. So I could go, let me quickly show that. Some data, so this is probably like a database, and we have questions that people have asked, right? So I have questions that people have asked here, and all those questions, it's kind of difficult to analyze text. So one good visual is a word cloud visual, which is a custom visual. So if you look at the visualizations I have to the right, these are the standard visualizations that come with Power BI Desktop. Now, there are also a set of very, very wonderful custom visualizations. The nice thing about Power BI is you have people that have created custom visualizations, which you can just download and plug into your reports and create reports with your custom visualization. So this is one I really like, which is a word cloud. So for example, I have a slicer here. I can click on January. Okay, so what are the main questions that people asked in January? Oh, you can see people asked about data. There was analytics. There was pivots. So probably some people want a pivot table and analysis. So you can imagine your company doing this for your Twitter account or your Facebook account, and you're doing a word cloud of all the sentiment, almost like a sentiment analysis, and seeing, okay, what are people talking about, right? So I could say, okay, what were people talking about in the whole of 2016, for example, for us, for all our webinars in 2016. So all our webinars in 2016, you can see data. The larger the text, obviously, the more people were talking about it, or the more people were asking questions under data. So I can see data, pivot, macro, modeling, power. So you can assume that that's Power BI, and then dashboards, VLOOKUP, and then using all these tools, financial, complex. So this kind of also makes us narrow down on these items and then focus more on them and have more support for these items. So it's a really, really good tool to filter through lots of text. and that's a custom visualization. So where do we get custom visuals? So when you want to pull in a custom visual in Power BI, you go to the visualization pane to the right. So we have our visualizations and our fields. So go to the visualization pane, and at the end of this visualization pane, you see about 3 dots. So 3 dots, import from file. So that 3 dots, you click it, and then you basically can import custom visuals. So obviously, you have to have the custom visuals on your desktop before you can use them. So where do we get custom visuals from? So let me show you online where you could get your custom visualizations from. Okay, so custom visuals, I think I went to a website. So custom visuals, if you go to the site, app.powerbi.com, that's app for application, that's http:// yes, app.powerbi.com/visuals/ /visuals. So that's where all the custom visualizations are. So these custom visualizations are developed. Some are developed by Microsoft, and some are just developed by people that just, if you know GitHub or you're a developer, you could go develop a custom visual. And I tell you, this is like a treasure trove of analysis, as in there's some extremely wonderful custom visualizations. So just looking at this, for example, I mean, you see an infographic designer. An infographic designer, what that does is instead of your bars and bars being normal bars, you could have your bars like this, like houses. Or maybe your product is, you have a particular product, you can take pictures of your product, and those products become the bars. So you have product 1, the bars will be product 1, product 2, product 3, kind of easy that way. You have this liquid fill gauge. Well, as your percentages are going up, your gauge or your swimming pool or your small fish tank is filling up. You have a gauge here. These gauges, well, they look good, but from a visualization standpoint, you shouldn't use this. It's a fancy thing, but it occupies too much space on your dashboard and doesn't really say much. I'm not a fan of pie charts. I'm not a fan of gauges. I'm sure people that have attended my courses know that. So then we have one beautiful one here that was created by our excellent expert Marco Russo and Alberto Ferrari of SQL BI. Bullet chart. This is a bullet graph. Now, I think this is one of the most important visuals for business, a bullet graph. And I'll explain it a bit for you. This bullet graph you see to the far left it can show actual, target, and projected performance all in one single chart, including what is considered good, what is considered poor, or what is considered excellent performance, all inside one tiny chart. And it was designed by Stephen Few. Stephen Few is an expert in visualization, data viz expert. And I'll recommend Stephen Few's books. You could go to perceptualedge.com and go check him out. He invented this graph called a bullet graph. So we have the custom visual for bullet graph. Another custom visual I like a lot is the network navigator. The network navigator here, this network navigator, if I'll just click it. So I've clicked on the network navigator on this website. So once you click on that link, or once you click on a visual, you can download it. So it just comes, you say network navigator, it tells you about what it is, you can download the visual. Now, please, when you download the visual, that means you've downloaded the actual tool that you're going to connect to Power BI, and that will now make that visual work. But it's a very good idea for you to download a sample. So always, when you download a visual, always download a sample. So that sample will be a Power. In fact, let me just click on this right now and see if we can download it as we speak. So I click on this sample, and what happens is it will download Network Navigator. Yeah. So Network Navigator, which is the actual Power BI desktop containing the Network Navigator visual and an example of how you can use it. So I'll save that on my, let's just save on my desktop. No, I'll save it somewhere else. Let's say, okay, I'll save it on my documents. Save. So I'm downloading the Network Navigator visual in the sample document. So once it downloads and you open it, you can now see how that visual works. But you still need to download the visual so that you can use that custom visualization in your reports. So we'll wait for that to download and we'll have a look at what it looks like. But you could see that there are many other custom visualizations. This is quite a nice one, this 5-star. So you just have a rating scale, for example. You're rating the different people and you just have a name to the left and then you have 5-star rating, 2-star, 3-star. It's very simple. Everybody knows stars, so it's easy to understand. Yeah, you can even have a gap analysis chart. This is like a gap analysis, very interesting chart. If you're doing distribution analysis, if you're doing anything that has to do with distribution, you can use the box and whisker plot. Yeah. So another visual which we will look at in more detail is your timeline. This is a very good visual. So what I'll do while this is downloading is I'm going to show you the standard visualization for timelines in Power BI Desktop, and then this visualization, which is called a timeline, this custom visualization. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so I have a timeline slicer. So this is a timeline slicer. So what happens is you just have a typical line chart, like you plotted a chart like you plot in Excel, and you have a timeline slicer up here. And the timeline slicer has your start date and your end date. You could just type the dates in there, or you could drag this slicer. And as you drag it, if you look down at the chart, you see that the chart is adjusting. So I'm dragging the slicer, reducing the time period that is covered by the slicer. Now this is the standard slicer that comes with Power BI Desktop, right? And that's it here. It's a slicer. It's actually called a slicer, right? So once you put the slicer down and you click on a date field, so I can show you, let me show you how you get that. So I click on the blank canvas. I've already built the charts. This chart is just a simple chart that takes dates and then the value that you're analyzing. So I'm analyzing close or sales or something. Then I click on the blank. I just click on anywhere blank in the canvas. Then I click on the slicer visual. Once I click on the slicer visual, it comes here. Then I can go and tick date. Once I tick date, it knows it's a date, and then it basically gives you a timeline. All right. So that's this visual. But the custom visual called timeline, let's show you how that works. So if I use the custom visual called timeline, this is how it looks. So this is how timeline looks. So to me, timeline is more superior than that to the normal standard visual, because in timeline, I can decide, okay, do you know what? I want to just see certain things related to quarters. So I click on quarters, and I can see immediately quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. So I could just click on quarter 1, and my entire chart kind of zooms into quarter 1. Can you see that? I just clicked on quarter 1. And how did I do that? I clicked on quarter. It has a Y, which is year, Q for quarter, M for month, W for week, and D for day. So if I click on Q, that means quarter. I want to see it in quarters. And I can come here and drag this to the right. Yeah, drag. So I want to see quarter 1 to 3. And this is my quarter 1 to 3, right? I can reduce that. Okay, I just want to see only quarter 4. Or, okay, I want to see all. And you see it's all come back. Now that's by quarter. I could decide, no, do you want to see by year? But unfortunately, this data only have 1 year. If I had 2 or 3 years, I could drag the years. And then I can click month, M. I can want to see by month. So here I have the months. I have Q1, Q2, everything there. I could say I just want to see January and February, right? Or I drag it. I want to see more than that, January to July. Or I can do it by week. And once I click week, if you see, because I've done month January to July, the week is just showing all the weeks before January to July, right? So that's how very flexible and excellent it is. I can pick which weeks I want to see. Or do you know, I just want to see the 1 week itself, which obviously can't compare. It's just one dated time, one date period. So I have to pick some more. And then I see that, I pick some more. Then if you want even a lower granularity, you go to day. So I want to see by day. So this is by day, as in complete detailed report by day. So if you want to go to the first week, and then you go to day, and then drag the days and see how many days you have, and that's you doing a report by day, and by year, by month, and I pick the year. I have everything in the year. and this is your custom visual called timeline. So a lot of us use Excel, so I just want to gauge our Excel knowledge and see what we've been using Excel for. So which of these Excel tools and functions do you use proficiently? As in currently, which do you think you use proficiently? Just pick the ones you use proficiently. That means, I mean, if you open Excel and you could just start typing it without question, you know how to use it. So which of these Excel tools do you use proficiently? So about 90% of us use VLOOKUP. That's very high for most of our polls. That's really high. We have some really, really advanced users here in this group. Okay, so Power Pivots, we have about 19%. Now for Power Pivot and Power Query, which is Power BI, you can use it in Excel and you can use it in Power BI Desktop. So it's both ways, really. So I'll do a quick demo of how you use it. I'll see you just have like 20 minutes left. So I'll just do a very quick demo, bring in some budget data, bring in some actual data, and let's just see how that works in Power BI. You can see 20% of us, so the results of our poll, 94% of us here have used VLOOKUP or use VLOOKUP proficiently. 82% use Power Pivot, pivot tables proficiently. 18% have used Power Pivot. Now, pivot tables and Power Pivots are two different things. So 18%, okay, it's gone up to 22% use Power Pivot. 6% use Power Query. And 33% of us have used Index and Match. So that's pretty good. Yeah, Index and Match is very powerful. Now, Power Query is the secret to saving time. So you guys, maybe I'll see if we can do a full webinar on Power Query. In fact, let me do a poll here. If you want a full, because only a few people use Power Query. Next month's webinar, would you like it to be like a full webinar on Power Query? So we'll do a detailed Power Query webinar. We're going to basically look at a blank Power. In fact, I could just use this one. I want to bring in some data. So I want to bring in some data now and then do some analysis. So we're going to get some data. Let's say enter data. Oops, sorry. So let's get data. I'm going to get some data, and I've stored some data on Excel. So I will just go to Excel exercises, and let me say actual data. Let's say actual data. So I'm going to connect to Excel and then print some data that's data on sales, general data on sales. I'll just load the data directly in. No, I'm not going to edit it. So I just clicked on load. So I'm loading some data from Excel into Power BI Desktop. And if I look at my data for sales, facts data, so you can see that data is loaded. Now I could have loaded this data from any data source. I could go to get data, Excel, SQL, analysis services, a text file, web, directly from the web, OData feed. OData feed is an open data source, free data online. I can do a blank query and write an M code myself if I like. I could go to more. Under more, you will see more options to download. JSON. In fact, there are about 60 connections, 60 ways you can connect data from different sources, including Facebook, Salesforce, SurveyMonkey, MailChimp, GitHub, all sorts of data sources. And you just bring all these data sources together, merge them, and create a data model. So I've just brought this in. Let me bring in budget data as well. So I'm going to get budget data. So this is actual data, your daily transactions, and I'm bringing in budget data too. So I'm bringing in budget data. So if I had clicked edit, if I click edit here instead of load, sorry, if I click edit instead of load, that means I want to edit my query, and that will open Power Query. So this is Power Query opened. So Power Query is, okay, we're querying our data, but really that's when you now start writing, as you're doing stuff on Power Query, is generating code, M code. But I don't need that right now, so I don't need Power Query. Okay, so I'm just updating that. So I got my data in. So these are my fields. I have my facts and my budget. So if you look at my budget data, most of us have budget data monthly. So if you have a look at this data, you'd see that we have years, months, store ID, store name, and revenue, which is fine. And if I go to my fact data, that's my actual data. It's obviously daily data, and I have revenue still. So I would like to compare budget and actual. That's what I would like to compare. So how do I do that? To compare budget and actual, remember I have two tables, fact and budget. But to do that effectively, you need to build a data model. So this is my fact table, and this is my budget table. Right. Okay. So if I want to do a report, let's see. Let me do a quick report. Let's create a report. I can do a simple table. I know a multi-row. Let's do a simple table. So I have a simple table. I go to my fact file and I select market, or let's say region. I select region, tick my region, and then I select revenue. Okay, so this is a simple report of revenue and region, as you can see. Now to the right, I'm going to format section. I just go to general. I want to increase the font size so that you could see it. All right, so there we are. Now, it would be nice, okay, this is revenue. I would like to have budget by the side. Let's just see what happens. I come to this and I tick revenue under budget. So I come to the right and tick revenue under budget. What do I get? Okay, problem. So obviously this can't be right. Revenue is just showing the same thing. Now, when this is happening, revenue doesn't know what I'm talking about because this is revenue from budget, by the way, and this is revenue from actual. So revenue doesn't understand what northeast, northwest means in the budget because it's not linked. So if you look at our data model here, if I come to our data model, fact cannot talk to budget because they are not linked. They need to be linked for it to talk. But then you can't really link. This is a fact which has many transactions that happen every day. So, and then budget also has many transactions under that region. So this is many. You can't link many to many, for example. I can't take a region from here. And if I don't even have region here, I have store ID, so it's even worse. So I can't take store, for example, and link to store. It's not really going to work. So what I need to do is download data, maybe on regional data or something like that. I need to download data that has a list of stores. So if I go to this store, for example, I'm bringing in data that has a table of stores. So I have a table like this where I have my store key, my store name, my market, my region. Can you see that? And then my state. So this table has everything: store, market, region, state. Yeah, it's just like a table that you do VLOOKUP on, same way you do VLOOKUP. So I bring that in. So I'm bringing that into my data model, and this is my table with store. So this is going to be like the mediator that will talk to budget and talk to fact, and then hopefully both of them will talk to each other. So if I go and look at what store looks like, just look at the data. So I come to the left and look at the data, and I click on store, which is called table 1. So store has a store key and a store name. So if you look at this tool, you see what can we use to link budget. If I go to budget, budget has a store ID, T0003. Let's see if that store ID looks similar to the one we have in table. T00, okay, so store key can link to budget's store ID. Yeah, so the budget's store ID. What about actual data for your fact file? So your fact file stores as store name. You can see that the fact file doesn't have ID, it has store name. So that means if I come to my data model, my store key can link to store ID. So store ID to store key, that links fine. And then store, which is store name, should link to store here, not store key. All right. So this guy in the middle has basically connected these two. It's connected fact and budget. That means whatever we want to use in our report, we should use it from this table, not from this table or this table. So if I want to do a regional report, I should pick region from here, not region from my fact file, and not store or anything from here. So we go and modify our report, come to a report, and this region here, I'm going to remove that region. You can see to the right that the region came from the fact table. I untick that. And I'm going to go to this new table that has region. So table 1, I now take region from there. And once I do that, I can rearrange my, put region at the beginning. Once I do that, things start making sense. Although you see some blank here, we explained the blank, that means our data is not that clean. But things start making sense. You can see that your Northeast, your revenue, which is the revenue for your fact file, your actual revenue, and compared to your budget revenue. So you can see this and this. It's clear. Actual revenue is 16,000 and something, and the budget revenue was 21,000. So this Northeast is what brings these two together, which brings your actual and your budget together. And then you can do a simple mathematics of this minus this, which is a simple DAX. Revenue from, say, actual revenue minus budget revenue. And then you have a variance. And then you continue building up from there. So there are lots of stuff you could do there. But the key thing is you need to build your data model. And in building your data model, you need two main things. You need your fact table, which is your transactional data that comes in every day, that updates every day. And then you need your category tables. These category tables, we call them dimension files. These dimension files are the ones that actually build your report. These fact files contain the data that changes every day. And you write your DAX formulas from here. We didn't use DAX this time around. So you're getting a sense of how relationships work. So I could do another very quick report before close for the day. I want to do a map. So I want to create a map. I want to do a report of states in Nigeria. So I kind of take this. I've created a map visual. I clicked on this for a map visual, field map. And for field map, I will just go to actual and use actual. I'm going to pick state. Where's state in actual? I can actually pick it from here as well. I can just say state. And then I will say, and state immediately brings Nigeria. Can you see that? And then I can go to actual facts and just pick revenue. So I want to see states revenue, how revenue is with states. Now, the funny thing is this is Nigeria. This is a map of Nigeria filled out by revenue for states. Obviously, I don't have any dates. I haven't done any date filters and stuff. So this entire revenue. So if I click on this, for example, I just click this. What state is this? This, don't know my Nigeria too well. I don't know what state that is. That's Bauchi. Okay, see, that's Bauchi. And Bauchi is in Northeast. So this cross filters everything else. Anytime you bring in a visual, it can cross filter other visuals. So I can click on this, which is Sokoto, and you see it's Northwest. I can click here, and this is, and then you see it's Northeast, Northwest, and stuff. And you can pick stores and stuff. I can decide to say, okay, do you know what? I would like to see stores. I don't want to see regions. I want to see stores. So I'm taking stores here and removing region. I remove my region, and then I put store. So I want to see it by store. So what are the stores in Sokoto, for example? Look at the stores in Sokoto, and this is their performance. So you see, just with few clicks and a few minutes, I already have a visual that really looks good. And once I do some more editing, it can look even excellent, very, very excellent. So that's custom visualizations. So I'm going to close with just giving you a little more of the final resources that you could use to help your visual analytics and your Power BI visualizations and your learning. And in fact, I've launched a course as well. I think I could put that up. So I've launched a course that will help teach you Power Query and also teach you how to automate all your reports that you have in Excel currently. And you could actually see that course in officetraininghub.com. I'll prop up a chart for you. But please, please, I want everyone to go and register on this Microsoft, the Microsoft Nigeria Power BI user group. So this is the Power BI user group from Microsoft. So this is Microsoft's Power BI user groups. And you have the Nigeria Modern Excel and Power BI user group. So if you go to www.powerbiusergroup.com/Lagos, you would see Nigeria Modern Excel and Power BI User Group. You can ask questions, you go on the forum, you would see all our events and stuff. This is a completely brand new user group. It just got set up a couple of days ago. And this will be your forum for asking any question and getting any answer in Power BI or Excel. And it's run by Microsoft, and it's focused on Nigeria. So once you get to this site, you should please register, and I'll be talking to you online from there. You can see our events here. You're going to see lots more events and the libraries. We have lots of downloads, and from this site you can join the meetup group as well, and lots of resources. So please take full advantage of that, and I'll see you guys online once you do. All right, so to close, so there are some downloads for you on educational materials. I'll just close with that. You have online educational resources that I'll recommend. Last webinar, I promised that we're going to launch this training, which will help you. It's about 50 videos, and you go through the videos and you'll be able to automate any report. There's no report in your office that you'll be able to automate in Excel, because I know some of us still don't want to go to the cloud. So you could completely build dashboards and automate all your reports in Excel without having to touch anything anymore. As in, once your data, you get your new data for the month, you dump it into a folder. You don't even need to click refresh. It refreshes automatically. So you'll be able to build this. And if you go to the link, I've given you a handout you can download, or you just go to officetraininghub.com. Once you go to www.officetraininghub.com, you'll be able to register or register for this training. And for this webinar, we're giving you a special discount of $20. So you just pay $50 for if you use this voucher, webinar 22017. So you have access to this file for life, and we'll be updating this file. We'll be updating this training. Any new technology that comes in will update the course, and it's absolutely free. You don't need to pay anything for that updates. So please make sure you use the voucher webinar 22017 to get your discount, and you register on officetraininghub.com. So that's the online course that I promised will be ready this month. Then, of course, as I said, please join the Power BI user group. And once you join the group, we'll be able to answer any questions you have, and we'll be able to share knowledge, and all of us will be able to share knowledge and try and get Power BI out there to many, many more people and many more analysts and companies. Then we have our meetup group. As I said, we do meetups. We're going to do quarterly meetups, live meetups. So this is fully sponsored, so it's not nobody pays for anything, and we are looking for sponsors. So if someone would like to sponsor a venue, like we sponsored a venue and a speaker, you could sponsor meals, somebody could sponsor drinks and stuff like that, and then we can set up more meetup groups so that we could continue sharing the knowledge. And we have our YouTube channel. So thank you very much, everybody, and it's so wonderful to have these webinars with you guys, and I hope you learned a few things here. Please, these webinars happen every month, the third Thursday of every month, so you're free to join the next one, and we look forward to seeing you in the next webinar.